Again, when we talk about dating, most people don't define it how you guys define it. So, guys, just to retract and to summarize, they believe dating should only be 4 to 6 weeks. The duration of dating should only last 4 to 6 weeks. And dating, as Alicia just mentioned, is only shopping. It's not a relationship.
Right.
It's just shopping. So I can date as many people as I want to date.
Answer is, of course you can heal and date because you're not in a relationship. There's nothing to heal from. Similar to the same analogy that we used last week. When you go shopping for a shirt, a top, or shoes, whatever, if you don't like it, you walk out of that store with no guilt. Right. You just like free. No one can bash you over the head and make you buy whatever you just were shopping for. No, you were shopping. And so that removing that guilt was a topic of the podcast that was released today. Like, this guilt model has to be lifted off us. Like, what are we healing from? It was just shopping.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No one can make you buy anything in the mall. So don't translate that to relationships. Like, don't do that in the dating process.
Right.
You were free and clear to date whomever you want. So when you in one site, start another.
And I went to my pastor at the time, who was Pastor Antoine Barrier of Household of Faith Church in New Orleans. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong. He's doing this and he's doing that and he's doing, and everything I said, I was like, he's doing and I can't take it. And so my pastor looked me square in the eyes and he said, oh, I know the problem. And I said, you do? What is it? He said, you. I could have passed out. I said, oh, no, that is not, you don't even know me like that. You are not in my household. You don't know what's going on. So he let me ramble and vent and go on and go on. And he was like, you're done? I said, I'm done. And so he said, so if your husband calls me, guess what? I said, what? He said, I'm going to tell him the exact same thing. It's him. And oh my gosh, I tell that story all the time because I think that's so powerful. Yeah. So whoever comes to me, it's you. No, it's you, because it's both of you. Even if there's one who's doing maybe the majority of the problems or causing the majority of the problems, it's still you because you're there. You have to figure out what you're going to do.
We have this analogy at When Love Works where, like, if you're in a room, you and the person that you love, you're in a room. And all of a sudden, this poisonous toxic gas starts coming in the room. And, you guys aren't going to be like fighting and bickering with each other about who's responsible for the gas coming in
who left the vent
and who left the vent open and stuff like that. You got minutes to figure this out and get the hell out of there. You got to come together and do what you got to do to get out of there. And it's pretty much the same way with this. Your relationship survival depends on you making decisions together. Blame serves nobody.
Yeah. And we recognize that we're emotional beings. So sometimes blame and our immediate reaction gets us out of the solution mode about the we. So we're saying use the love leadership model. We only need one person to be a love leader at any given moment. If you all are locked into a conflict, because conflict is not a bad word in relationship. If you all are embroiled in some sort of disagreement, one person has to recognize, you know what, where the impasse is dysfunctional, I'm going to take the next step to transform it from dysfunction to health. The same with the green gas analogy. We in this room is shut down, this poisonous gas leaking in. One of us has to give.
Yeah. If you're the most skilled person, take the lead.
Yeah.
And get the both of you to safety.
Ooh, yeah. So you have to be the bigger person, right? Somebody has to be the bigger person.
Somebody.
So then what if that person doesn't follow?
Well, love and fear can coexist. That's another model we have, right? Yeah. Again, always plugging these foundational truths. Love and fear can coexist. So in order to be a love leader, you are saying, I'm going to just open up and be vulnerable and take the risk. I'm going to grab us and just go with it. I cannot simultaneously grab us and go forward if I'm also looking at whether you're going to grab my hand, whether you got to be on this journey with me. All you can do and all we are responsible for is our actions. It's a risk. It's a risk either way, but love is a risk. It's the only thing you'll ever engage with that requires you to be just as vulnerable for it to be healthy as you are for it to maybe turn out bad. You have to have the same level of openness. So
sure.
if you are the person that's saying, I want to be a love leader and I want to stream and, take us,
right,
and my partner may not follow, that is a risk. But we're saying take the risk.
If you're not vetting during dating, when does the vetting take place? Like, when does it ever take place? And then you wonder why it's like, I'm a avid Judge Mathis fan. I love Judge Mathis. And he's so funny to me. But almost every one of the trials on his show, it's a common theme. Like, yeah, we met, and then 4 weeks later we got, we moved in together, and then I'm not judging in any way, but they never had an opportunity to vet the person. If you wait 4 to 6 weeks without sex and actually get to know who this person is, you've now given yourself the best chance to be able to see who this person is. If you do introduce sex in that 4 to 6 weeks where you've had a chance to vet, it's just like drinking wine at a home, at an open house. And you missed the crack in the ceiling and the water pump that hasn't stopped running since you've been in the house, and the cracked driveway, and the water that's the busted tiles on the roof.
I think because we do not vet early on, that's what causes so many other issues, right? Because we should not be vetting in a relationship. What's that, Elysia?
It's a part of it. We don't vet in dating, and then we get into a courtship, and now we're vetting and identifying all these things, and we're saying, back up, that's not fair to you nor that person. Because the tools for vetting are in dating, not after you all have said we committed. Right? And then Cullen again looked up and is like, didn't have his own family, 9 years gone. He was like, what the fuck? I don't want anyone to go through this again. So this is what we're gonna do. Yes. We just put our skills together and say, no, in our work, we're going to be very clear on how to date consciously, so people are not wasting time. You will save money and time working with us, because you will be very clear on how you date. You will sit back on your dates and enjoy it. They're going to be 100% fun. And when people don't match you, you're going to be like, oh, it was nice meeting you. And you're going to check out.
Right. I will agree with that. I think when you know what you want, and I can attest to that, usually as you mature, you understand more about what you want. And I'm sure as you take your classes, you understand more about what you want. And maybe it doesn't have to be as long.
This person doesn't fit in your vision. I mean, it's not even close.
Can I call an Uber? Can I call an Uber in the middle of the date or no? Is that rude?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you still respect the fact that the person actually
came out to the date.
I mean, that you're not. First of all, people, let's be real clear. We're still human, and they're still human, and they don't owe you anything. If they're not the person of your dreams, guess what? That's not their responsibility to be the man of your dreams. If they happen to be the man of your dreams, that's great. That's the beauty of the thing. You run into the serendipity of meeting somebody that's fit for you. The reason why it's so special is because it doesn't happen every day, and that person doesn't owe you anything. So when you get up and leave, thank that person for the date. It was still a date, and if you enjoy the date, then fine. But if it's a person that, if it's offensive in every way to you, and you still, that's what we're speaking of. And you still hanging on, like, this is gonna win you brownie points in church or with God or somebody. Get up and leave.
Yeah, and I believe in being respectful too. I think even if you don't like the person, or that you're not going on the second date, okay, enjoy your appetizer, enjoy whatever it is you guys are doing, and then deuces at the end. So again, and I'm just going to keep repeating this so the viewers can understand and be able to process this when they get off of this live, and that's dating is 4 to 6 weeks. You also suggest no sex during dating from 4 to 6 weeks. Talk a little more about that, Cullen. What happens when you abstain versus if you go ahead and engage in sexual activity during the dating cycle?
Well, this is the thing which kind of ties into the greater theme. Like when you introduce sex, not only are you clouded, because I mean, sex acts on us like a narcotic, and it definitely blocks your vision. Now, and then it creates a bond. So you're creating a bond with somebody, with a stranger. And so here's the thing. Let's say you break up because it was bad. It was just wow. The sex was great, but this was awful. This person was not a match for me. We actually clashed hard. But you still had a connection with this person. You're like, man, I miss him though, or I miss her though. There's addictive longings. That's all. The addictions start to kick in, and it's just like any other drug. Just think about drugs. The person that's doing the drug is actually having a good time for a minute, and then but their whole world is being affected by it now. But while they're on the drug, I have to go by what people tell me. When they're in it, they're like in euphoria, like none other. And so so their whole world is collapsing around them. But they say, damn that, the euphoria is worth it. I'm going for it. How's that any different from this? You're dating somebody that you've already identified as being bad for you. And then you say, but you start longing. You start longing for them. You start have addictive longings for that person. And then you go to your greatest hits about it. Like, man, that was really nice how, he took me to the beach, or she took me to the beach. We he kissed me right when the sun was setting. You just remember the greatest hit. And forget all about all the stuff that was wrong about today. And while you running that stuff back in your head, you running it back in your head is you getting a hit. And then that's like what's the there's heroin, and what's the other thing? Methadone. Methadone is like the watered down version.
Yeah, it's supposed to help you get off heroin, right?
You going in your head thinking about the person is like methadone, and then you can't take it no more. So you call him or you call her. Hey, what's up? I thought you was done with me. I thought you didn't want to deal with me no more. Boy, shut up. When you coming over here? And then we start to cycle back up. So you can keep that cycle going on forever and ever and ever. Why introduce it at all?
Yes.
You introducing addiction into the equation.
So we have to help people break addictive cycles.
Yes.
That's usually about 60% is really helping people break that addiction. And again, no judgment, because we're not saying, we're not from a religious, we're not saying, okay, just keep it in your pants, whatever, do you. We're just saying, know that if you introduce it in the dating, when you haven't established you all in a courtship and anything committed, then you are simultaneously signing up for an addiction. Yeah. And so here, okay, we can work with you to help you break that addiction, but no, that's what it is. Like, we're not going to play in this pretend. We are going to be very honest with you and speak from truth.
4 to 6 weeks later, go crazy.
Yep.
Sexually.
Knock
you're trying to stay sober. I'm telling you, don't drink wine at the house at the open house. Okay. Go home and drink your own wine. You trying to stay sober.
Okay, so here's what. First of all, I definitely agree with the part that you should abstain during dating. So I think that it's definitely addictive. Good sex, of course, is addictive. If it's bad, then it makes you leave quicker. But good sex is addictive. There's dopamine. Dopamine is released during sex, right? Yep. So dopamine is also released when a person gets high. Say heroin or coke or whatever it is they're doing. And so that's that high, when they're like, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah. Think of it. You do the same thing when you have sex and you orgasm, right? Yeah. And so it's dopamine. It's released during pleasurable activities.
Right.
So it's just like a drug addict will tell you, what kept me addicted for 20 years is that I was chasing that first high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never got it. That first high was like, ooh, mind blowing. Yeah. But I never got it. 20 years later, I'm still chasing it, right? And so it's the same thing. If you have great sex, you're kind of like, okay, all right. So I'm going back and I'm going back and I'm going back. Even though I know the drug / the sex is not good for me.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'm still going back and I'm still, it's an addictive cycle. Now, I will even venture to say I will go longer than 4 to 6 weeks. Of course, that's up to the individual as an adult. If you're in a committed relationship, that's up to you. I think that you can extend that way past 4 to 6 weeks, because I think in 4 to 6 weeks, like you guys are saying, you can go from the dating to a potential relationship. But some people are really, really good, and they're not going to show you who they are in 4 to 6 weeks. You know, they're good,
but without the tools, you can't.
That's without the tools. That's without dating consciously. Yeah. I respect that might be like where you are right now, and I don't mean that offensively at all. Sure. But dating consciously is a thing, and we've had people that thought that they was really, really running game. Person see them right where they live, and it ain't no big fight argument. It's just thank you. I really enjoyed my time with you, and they gone.
Because that's a wonderful thing, you know, to be able to see a person for who they are and see it quickly. Because everybody does not possess that, so that's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. And how do you propose that you can heal while dating?
Yes.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah.
both can be done. It definitely could be a both and here's where we have to be responsible with what we're sharing, because we recognize that this is this type of platform. We can't go in, we can't give it examples, we can't really hear deep into what every person is healing from. But what we do know is love and fear can coexist. So if you are out of your core saying, I want to be in a healthy love relationship, and you are simultaneously saying, I need to heal, or I'm afraid to be hurt again, or I'm afraid of how we're going to break up, like you're in the past or in the future, you are closing in. You can't have love and fear. That's why it's our foundational quote, and it's what helped us start this business. You can't have both. So if you're saying, I need to heal before, you are introducing fear. I am not ready to be enough or be fully loved until. See, that until is a lie. It's a lie, because there's nothing that disqualifies you from love. I'm a first-hand witness of, I am qualified for love. You could call a roll, I done been through it. And I still deserve love. I still deserve a high quality, customized, healthy love relationship. When I got that, the whole world changed. So when people say, I need to heal first, they're saying, as I am is not worthy of. And we're saying the two, don't cancel yourself out. No matter what you've gone through, as long as you've done a couple things, that awareness has to be there. You have to say that, okay, when I was in such and such a relationship, it may have left this. And then I have to check my own self. Like maybe I was in a physically abusive, domestic abuse, financial abusive, educational abusive, whatever, call a roll, right? Or family members really pressured me to do this and X, Y, Z. Once you name that thing, you have to then do the work of, okay, now how is it showing up when I'm dating? Am I projecting that onto a partner and asking them to fill in the deficit? Because I got some insecurities now. And so if you are about to date for someone else to fill in a deficit, we're saying, yeah, take a break.
Yeah.
That's different from healing, because you're just confusing terms.
But do you really even know the difference, Elitia? If I'm not healed, do I know the difference?
That's what I'm saying. It's really about the terminology. We use heal as a blanket word, and it's not. And we're saying literally, because they have clients that start with us that say, well, I'm single, or I have no children, or I'm a parent, and we be like this. Because we're listening for something for you to say that is going to disqualify you, because there's nothing, right? I was addicted to drugs. And we're listening. Nothing disqualifies you from love. So the thing that you have to heal from, let's go there versus making it a part of why you're not worthy, because the two are, that's not the truth. You are, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're showing up as, you are worthy. We've seen it all.
Yeah.
And you are still worthy. So let's back up and talk about what you need to be healed from, because you're using that word, and that word is not meaning what you think it needs to mean in this situation.
I'm gonna tell you why I'm an advocate of dating. Why before you've healed?
Before you've healed.
No, you know why dating.
Wow.
Why
okay.
Look, if you're off of a bad relationship, first of all, if you date properly, you won't be healing from anything. But we're gonna leave that off the table. Okay. You know what I'm saying? The 4 to 6 weeks is non-committal. You're not in a real relationship. As long as you're not having sex, what are you healing from? You're not healing from anything. You can get up and walk away the moment the relationship goes south. But let's just say that you're dating in such a way where it does become a little committal, and you are involved, and then at the end of it, you get destroyed. And so here are your alternatives. Either you date or you take yourself completely out of commission. Let me tell you something. The mind entertains 70, depending on who you talk to, between 70,000 and 90,000 thoughts per day. 85% of those thoughts are negative and repetitive. This is how most people's minds sound. You know what? I'm gonna have to order something soon. This is getting late. I'm hungry. You know what? Let me get this over here. You know what? I'm gonna have to order something. It's getting late, and everything's gonna be closed soon. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to order something. You maybe another thought will come in between it, but your mind will do that to you over and over and over all day long. When you're coming off a negative situation, oh my God, the mind will sit there and talk about all the ways that the relationship. You know what? Maybe what happened to us? He was so, or she was so great. What happened to us? And then the mind loves to figure out puzzles. So the mind will say, was it when I went to meet his parents? Was that what it was? Or when we went on that date and I said this, was that what it was?
Yeah.
And go through it, and then your mind will go through the greatest hits. Oh yeah, you know, the way he used to touch me or the way she used to touch me was this, that, and that, and you forget about all the other stuff. The overwhelmingly, like 80% of the stuff was horrible, but you remember the highlights.
Yes.
And so you're on that. You keep going back to that. You know why? Because you need your fix. And you're just thinking, oh my God, I just think about, and then you glamour, then you're glamorizing something that really wasn't that great. Yeah. And the mind is great at like leaving all the stuff out that's not all the negative stuff that would outweigh it. It's up to you consciously, unconsciously, this is what your mind does. Consciously, you have to account for what really happened. Yeah. This person is not in your life, and they did you a favor. If the relationship was a strong connection, y'all would still be together. If this person and what happens is, because breakups are so intense, we become detectives because we think that the problem must have been equally as intense. So we go out looking for more. So we're on the front, like, what happened? What, we're like in this detective mode. Like, what happened to us? And then you might get really bold, like people stalk each other on Facebook and stuff like that. And then they really get bold. They make that call late in the night, like, what happened to us? And, you get that 2 o'clock in the morning call.
I don't suggest dating consistently while healing, and I'll tell you why. Here's my thought process. So those self-thoughts, absolutely, we have so many negative self-thoughts. I call them self-defeating thoughts, self-defeating behaviors. We have so many of those, and I agree with you. An idle mind, it sounds like what you're saying is, if you're just sitting at home replaying the relationship, thinking about all the bad things or the good things or whatever, absolutely, that's negative. That's not a good thing. How do you heal while doing that, right? I believe in talking to yourself. You're going to hear those thoughts and you have to talk back to those thoughts. Like you said, you thinking about those good things. Yeah, okay, it was 20% good. Okay, well, let me remind myself of the time when I caught him cheating. You know what I mean? So you do have to talk to yourself. However, just like you talked about with the low vibration, who you may attract, right? I'm not going to speak from a man's perspective because I'm not a man. But as a woman, what I will say is if you just come out of a bad breakup, you just come out of a divorce, right? You recently divorced. Most times women are very vulnerable when they come out of these situations, right? We're very vulnerable. We oftentimes do things that we wouldn't normally do. You know, it's just kind of like, I need someone to make me feel worthy. And you don't know that's what you're really doing. But subconsciously, you want someone to tell you you're pretty, you look good, you're worth it. And so then what you do, operating at that low vibration, being very vulnerable, then you kind of just accept somebody. You end up getting into a sexual relationship. So if we say, okay, we're still healing, but let me go out and live, you know, let me date. I'm just shopping. But if I'm operating at a low vibration, if I'm vulnerable, that dating could lead to something else. It may even lead to sex on the first date. I'm just saying. Why? Because I'm broken right now. I'm broken.
Yeah.
So, I know several women I can just think of right now who have never been alone, like never been single, right? I don't think that that's healthy. Let me tell you why I don't think it's healthy. Because these women and these women clearly have been hurt, as most human beings have been, have been hurt. Maybe they were divorced or in abusive relationships, and they go from one to the next, the next to the next. Okay. And sometimes they'll say, oh, I'm just dating. I'm worthy. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But no, you're hurting. And so what you're doing is you're covering up with the next man. And Cullen, that may be true for men. A lot of men do it too. They're hurting. There's something from their childhood. There's something from another a relationship. And they're covering up with sex with this one, sex with that one, sex with this one. And so the thing about it is, I believe that you have to spend some time with yourself. So maybe in addition to like taking your classes, which I'm sure are super helpful, like partner that with some type of counseling or therapy.
Because I was very clear. My therapist was like, all right, you're doing some work. That's good. You're doing me and somebody else. All right, you good. We don't need to see each other. Let me tell you something. Therapist is the answer, y'all.
Yeah. If you're entering into dating even and you're wounded, it's not a good idea, because so we're actually like talking about this in reverse order, but we assumed that people that were at that place where they were dating were already like intimate with them, like they knew who they were and they were good with where they were. And if you're healing from just something, from a disappointment or a relationship not working, that's totally different from therapy because remember we talked about one of the first things we talked about dating. It's a journey into your growth and development first.
3 things.
And then
you learn about you, you learn about the other person, then you learn about y'all together.
Right. Yeah. Therapy is totally different. But I just kind of wanted to put that out there because some people will just use that. You know what I mean? Just use dating as a means to cover up and to get out. But the bottom line is, I believe that you need to acknowledge your hurt, acknowledge what happened in your prior relationship, because if you don't, you just keep going and going the same way. I hope you understand that if you're still healing, that is totally okay. According to our relationship coaches, it is okay to get out there, but you need to acknowledge where you're hurting. You need to maybe couple it with therapy. If you don't couple it with therapy and you have not acknowledged where your last relationship went bad, or even when we're talking about relationships, of course, we keep talking about like romantic relationships. But if we dive deeper, even into parental relationships and sibling relationships and all of that stuff, I can go into parental relationships that can affect your current romantic relationship, you need to acknowledge where those issues are, because you'll keep just repeating the cycle of dysfunction.
Yeah.
And we don't want to do that.